The desert sun scorched the earth, turning the air into a shimmering haze that blurred the horizon. Somewhere in the vast expanse of a Nevada training range, a squad of U.S. Marine snipers lay prone, their rifles steadied, their eyes locked on a target 1,200 yards away. Sweat beaded on their foreheads, not from the heat, but from the pressure. They were the best of the best, trained to hit a dime from a mile away, yet today, the target mocked them. Bullet after bullet missed, kicking up dust and humiliating clouds. Their sergeant, a grizzled veteran with a voice like gravel, barked orders, but the shots kept going wide. In the midst of this failure, a figure approached from the edge of the range, yet a woman, unassuming, in a faded denim jacket and work boots, her hair tied back in a loose ponytail. She carried no rifle, no gear, just a quiet confidence that made the Marines pause. Who was she? And why was she walking toward them with a faint smile, as if she knew something they didn't? Hey, if you're gripped by this story already, hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it means you won't miss the next twist in this incredible tale. The Marines didn't know what to make of her. She wasn't military, no rank, no insignia, just a civilian who'd somehow gotten clearance to be on this restricted range. Sergeant Daniel Hawk Carter, a man who'd seen combat in 3 wars, squinted at her approach. His squad was already on edge. A failure wasn't in their vocabulary, yet here they were, missing a shot that should have been routine. The target, a steel plate shaped like a human silhouette, glinted mockingly in the distance. Hawk's radio crackled with updates from the range officer. Another miss. The squad's reputation, their pride, was unraveling with every failed shot. Hawk turned to the woman, his voice sharp. "Ma'am, this is a restricted area. You need to leave." She stopped, her boots crunching in the gravel, and looked him dead in the eye. "I'm here to help," she said simply. Her name was Ellie Harper, a 42-year-old rancher from a speck of a town in Montana, and what she was about to do would leave these elite warriors speechless. Ellie's presence felt like an intrusion. The Marines were a tight-knit unit, forged in the crucible of training and combat. They didn't need outsiders, especially not a woman who looked like she belonged in a feed store, not the sniper range. But something about her calm demeanor unnerved Hawk. She didn't flinch under his glare, didn't shrink from the weight of a dozen skeptical eyes. Instead, she gestured toward the target. "You're missing because you're fighting the wind," she said. Her voice was steady, almost gentle, but it carried an authority that made the youngest Marine, Private First Class Tammy Ruiz, lower his rifle and listen. Hawk scoffed. "The wind, lady? We've got ballistic computers, laser rangefinders, and years of training. We know the wind." Ellie tilted her head, her smile tightening. "Do you?" "Because that target says otherwise." The squad exchanged glances. Tommy, barely 22, was the first to speak up. "What do you mean, fighting the wind?" His curiosity broke the tension, and Ellie stepped closer, crouching beside him. She pointed toward the distant hills, where heat waves danced and dust swirled in unpredictable patterns. "You're reading the wind at your position," she said, "but out there, it's shifting. It's not one wind up, it's 3, maybe 4, all colliding. You're shooting through a storm you can't see." Hawk's jaw tightened. He'd heard enough. "And you know this how?" he demanded. Ellie stood, brushing dirt from her hands. "Because I've been shooting in these kinds of wind since I was 12. My daddy taught me on a ranch where missing a shot meant no dinner." "I don't need your fancy gear to read the air." The Marines were silent now, caught between disbelief and intrigue. Hawk's instinct was to dismiss her, but the misses were piling up, and his squad was running out of excuses. The range officer's voice crackled again. Another shot, another miss. The pressure was mounting. Their failure wasn't just a training exercise gone wrong, it was a potential embarrassment that could ripple up the chain of command. Hawk's career, his legacy, hung in the balance. He looked at Ellie, her unyielding gaze meeting his. "Fine," he growled. "Show us." It was a challenge, a dare, but Ellie didn't hesitate. She asked for a rifle, not one of their high-tech sniper rigs, but an old M40, the kind her father used. Tommy handed it over, half expecting her to fumble. She didn't. Ellie lay prone, her movements deliberate but unhurried. She adjusted the scope with a practiced hand, her fingers moving like they'd done this 1,000 times. The Marines watched, some smirking, others curious. She wasn't holding the rifle like they did, with textbook precision. Her grip was looser, almost intuitive, as if the weapon were an extension of her body. She closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the air, listening to the desert's whispers. Then she opened them, exhaled, and fired. The crack of the shot echoed across the range. A second later, the steel target rang out, a clear hit. The Marines froze. Tommy's jaw dropped. Hawk's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing. Ellie fired again. Another hit, and again. 3 shots. 3 perfect hits. The range officer's voice came through, stunned. Confirmed. All hits on target. The squad erupted in murmurs. How had she done it? Ellie stood, handing the rifle back to Tommy. It's not about fighting the wind, she said. It's about moving with it. You feel it. You read it. You let it guide your shot. Her words were simple, but they carried a weight that silenced the squad. Hawk stepped forward, his skepticism warring with grudging respect. Where'd you learn to shoot like that? He asked. Ellie's smile faded, and for the first time, a shadow crossed her face. Necessity, she said quietly. When you grow up with nothing, you learn to make every shot count. The story of Ellie Harper began to unfold, not from her lips, but from whispers among the range staff who'd vetted her clearance. She wasn't just a rancher. She'd grown up in poverty, on a patch of Montana land so remote it barely had a name. Her father, a Vietnam-era Marine, had been a sniper himself, but he'd come home broken, haunted by memories he never shared. He taught Ellie to shoot, not for sport, but for survival. They hunted to eat, and every bullet was precious. By 16, Ellie could outshoot anyone in her county, reading winds that baffled even seasoned hunters. But her life wasn't just about marksmanship. She'd faced hardship, losing her father to illness, her mother to addiction, and her brother to a war he never came back from. Ellie had fought for everything she had, and that fight had forged her into something extraordinary. Back on the range, the Marines were grappling with what they'd just seen. Tommy, why died, asked her to explain her technique. Ellie obliged, walking them through her process, not with jargon, but with the kind of practical wisdom that comes from years of trial and error. She showed them how to read mirage patterns in the heat, how to sense subtle shifts in air pressure, how to trust their instincts over their tech. The squad listened, their egos bruised but their curiosity piqued. Hawk, still wrestling with his pride, assigned Tommy to try her method. The young Marine adjusted his scope, took a breath, and fired. The target rang out, a hit. The squad cheered, and for the first time that day, the tension broke. Ellie had done the impossible. She turned their failure into a lesson. But the story wasn't over. As the squad practiced under Ellie's guidance, hitting the target with newfound consistency, a new challenge emerged. The range officer received a call. A higher-ranking officer, Colonel Grayson, was en route to inspect the squad. Grayson was a legend, a hardliner who'd built his career on discipline and results. He'd heard about the squad's earlier failures, and he wasn't coming to congratulate them. If they didn't perform, heads would roll, starting with Hawks. The Marines tightened their grips, their newfound confidence wavering. Ellie sensed the shift. You've got this, she told them, her voice low but firm. You're not just shooting for a target now. You're shooting for each other. Grayson arrived in a cloud of dust, his Humvee screeching to a halt. He was a towering man, his presence commanding instant silence. He surveyed the squad, his eyes lingering on Ellie. Who's this civilian? He demanded. Hawk stepped forward, ready to take the heat, but Ellie spoke first. I'm the one who got them hitting the target, she said. Grayson's eyebrow arched, but he didn't respond. Instead, he ordered a demonstration. The squad would shoot under his watch, and they'd better not miss. The stakes were higher than ever. One mistake, and their careers could be over. Tommy went first, his hands trembling slightly. He followed Ellie's advice, reading the wind, letting it guide him. His shot hit dead center. The squad exhaled. One by one, they fired, each shot a testament to Ellie's unorthodox wisdom. Grayson watched, his expression unreadable. When the last Marine fired a perfect hit, he turned to Ellie. You taught them this? He asked. She nodded. They had it in them. I just showed them how to see it. Grayson's gaze softened, just for a moment, and then he addressed the squad. You've got potential, he said. Don't waste it. He climbed back into his Humvee and left, the dust settling behind him. The squad surrounded Ellie, their gratitude unspoken but palpable. Hawk, who'd been the most skeptical, extended his hand. "Thank you," he said, the words heavy with respect. Ellie shook his hand, but her eyes were distant. She didn't need their thanks as she'd come here for a reason of her own. Later, as the squad packed up, Tommy overheard her talking to the range officer. She'd requested access to the range not for glory, but to honor her brother, a Marine who died in a sniper mission gone wrong. She'd wanted to shoot on the same kind of range she'd trained on, to feel closer to him. The revelation hit the squad hard. Ellie wasn't just a sharpshooter as she was one of them, bound by loss and resilience. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the range in a golden glow, Ellie prepared to leave. The Marines watched her go, a lone figure against the vast desert. She'd come out of nowhere, turned their failure into triumph, and left without asking for anything in return. Tommy called after her, "Will we see you again?" Ellie turned, her smile faint but warm. "Maybe," she said. "Keep shooting straight." And with that, she walked away, her boots kicking up dust, her legacy etched in the hearts of the men she'd transformed. The Marines returned to their barracks that night, their rifles cleaned, their spirits lifted. They'd been humbled, but they'd also been empowered. Ellie Harper, a woman with no rank, no title, had reminded them what it meant to be a Marine, not just skill, but heart, grit, and the ability to adapt. Her lesson went beyond the range. It was about facing failure, listening to unlikely voices, and finding strength in unexpected places. The squad would carry that lesson into every mission, every shot, for the rest of their careers. As the screen fades to black, the story of Ellie Harper lingers, a testament to the power of resilience and the quiet strength of those who rise above. If this story moved you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And hey, let me know in the comments, from which part of the country are you watching this video? I'd love to hear where Ellie's story is reaching you.